so bizarre because it was like for like 4 or 5 minutes because you could see him in distance and we're like
Right.
real slow and it's dark at night. We're like, oh, I hope nobody knows we're really stoned.
What's going on, y'all? This is Paranoid Grower. I have a special guest with me today. He's a grower within our community. He's also a breeder within our community. I read a quote from Saint Basil today and thought of you that says, "A tree is known by its fruits, a man by his deeds. A good deed is never lost. He who sows courtesy reaps friendships, and he who plants kindness gathers love." Phocas Seeds. Welcome to the show.
Oh man, I thanks for that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I was telling you before, it's a nice rainy Monday morning here up in Connecticut. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I know it tripped me out. It's raining there and it's snowing here. So we got
you told me that. I can't believe that. We got a little bit of it was like some sleet coming down last week, but we haven't gotten the snow yet.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you get into this weekend?
I'll have to try and remember. Oh, actually, I know what I got into. So, Grateful Gardener came over on Saturday, and he helped me clean up some gardens. So nice. I really appreciate his help. And yeah, man, I've just been working, trying to get the season wrapped up. And I recorded a podcast with him because we actually have a autoflower growing guide that's going to be coming out this week.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yep. It's about, I want to say it's 15 or 17 pages. Got some nice pictures in there, and it's not super detailed, but it'll give especially the new grower kind of like an overview of, the equipment they need, how to actually grow the plant, some pests and diseases that they might have to deal with, and, and how to just, have a successful first time.
That's really cool. I'm really glad that y'all are putting that out there for everyone. So, yeah, man. Well, I didn't really do much this weekend. I luckily had a unexpected 4-day weekend. Some stuff happened at work, so we're off for 4 days. So I ended up just relaxing all weekend. I've got like all kinds of busy stuff coming up the next few weekends. So I took the opportunity to relax and unwind and disconnect. And so I feel like a lot better today than I have the last few days.
Awesome, man. It's always good to get a rest.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we go ahead and talk about the reasons why we meet up on this podcast. And the reason that you and I met up on this podcast was during my Paranoid Freedom Tour. Luckily, I had staying with Grateful at the time. And he had mentioned that you don't live too far from him. And he said that we can go by there and check out your place. And luckily, we got to come out and tour your property, which was super nice. You certainly do have a lot going on in your garden, a lot more than I do.
Yeah. That was one of 3 properties that I have. So that, you came over to my house and got to see the gardens that I have there and the high tunnel that I put up this year. So yeah, it was great having you over.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, you said that you had multiple properties. Like, what do you have on your other properties? Yeah,
so since I have a seed farm, the way I have it set up is there's 3 different properties within a mile radius. I have my homestead, which has some gardens and a high tunnel on it. Then I have a property that's about a mile down the street that my family owns. It's been in my family for like 25 years, and there is gardens there. I have my actual greenhouse there, and then kind of my garage, which is my seed processing and drying space. Another mile up the street between the 2 properties on a road over there, there's a 200-acre farm that a guy in town owns, and I lease from him. So I lease a couple acres.
Nice. What do you do on that property?
Yeah, so that's all field production for seeds, all vegetable seed. This year I did a lot of squash, cucumbers, and beans there, watermelon too. So Yep, that's just just dry field farming, that sort of conventional organic style.
Right. Yeah, and I know whenever we toured your garden, you had tobacco. That was like the first thing that we'd seen was actually up there on the top of the hill, which that was my first time seeing a big, like a bunch of tobacco. Like I at the time I'd already been to Gratefuls and Nerds, and they showed their tobacco plants, but you had like a rows of tobacco, which was really nice. Do you remember which cultivars, or is it strains? How do you?
Yeah, it would be cultivar. Cultivated variety is what you would
Okay.
call something that's a uniform population like that's bred for a certain trait. But yeah, so the cultivars that I had out there this year were the Connecticut shade leaf, which is one of the classic Connecticut tobacco leaf types that's been grown here for 100 years now.
Right.
So I grew some Connecticut shade for seed, and then I also grew a new variety called Little Yellow, which is a very, very large leaf. It's a dark air cured type that was used mainly for chewing tobaccos and snuff, but it was also used for cigar and cigarette blends. But that variety is probably the largest leaves I've ever grown were from that. And I have a picture of me holding up one of the leaves on my Instagram, and the thing is like half the size of my body. So
right. Yeah, those leaves were ridiculously huge. I wasn't expecting how big the leaves to be on a tobacco plant.
Yeah.
Once I started seeing them. Yeah.
And then the last cultivar was Virginia Smoking, which is an heirloom Virginia type that I've been growing for like 8 years now. And that's a classic pipe tobacco, and they used it in cigarettes too. But yeah, if anyone's familiar with your pipe tobacco blends, it's a nice air cured type Virginia.
Right. Yeah, and then we toured the rest of your garden down at the bottom of the hill. You had the hoop houses with the plant that we all know and love. What exactly did you have in the hoop houses?
Yeah, so this year I did a lot of trials for outdoors. A friend of mine owns, he's also a breeder, and he owns a nursery up in Vermont and New Hampshire, and he's Catamount Seeds. And so I was growing out a bunch of his purple diesel cake, which is a phenomenal cultivar. I actually just had him on my podcast yesterday, so that episode will come out soon. But yeah, so I had a bunch of plants of that, and then I was also trying some other stuff for outdoors, which didn't do as well, but still was okay. I did a Jack Herrera cross, which I love Jack Herrera. The terpene profile in it is so unique and very distinct. But honestly, it didn't have the best disease resistance. It got a little bit of PM, and just the way the stems on it grow, they were very kind of skinny, spindly. We tried to train it down underneath trellis setting, and it just did not want to train. It just wanted to go. Everything just wanted to go straight up. So, but I was able to harvest that. I got a decent harvest, and then I also planted a little bit of Black and Blissful, which is a friend of mine in North Carolina, Manifest Destiny Seco. He bred that, and it's a great plant. But I'd say that one's more for indoor growing. You could definitely grow it outside, and it finished fine, but I think it shines indoors. And he's a hash breeder too, so it's a little coming from a little bit of a different world. Whereas, like I said, the purple diesel cake is bred for outdoor growing, especially here in the Northeast. So
right. And who was the guy? What was his name again that you'd said?
Catamount Seeds, who bred the purple diesel cake.
Right.
Yeah. That's my buddy Lars up in New Hampshire. Yep. Cool. In Vermont.
Nice. And then also you had some other vegetables growing out there. What are some of the stuff that you had?
Yeah, so I had shishito peppers. I had some jalapenos, a few rows of beans. I had some rattlesnake pole beans, cucumbers, and I think that. Oh no, I also had a brulee butternut squash too for vegetables, and then all my autoflower rows were out there as well.
Oh yeah, the autoflower rows. That's right. I forgot about those.
Yeah.
That was really cool. What all did you have on their autoflower rows?
So I had a lot. I did a huge trial this year and did an open pollination with a bunch of different cultivars. Most of which I bred. I had my Sherman's Tactics out there, the Podunk Black Ops, and then I also had a cross that my buddy Kumar did of the I believe it was, I don't know if it was the Sherman's Tactics to cross to the Podunk Black Ops. It was two of my cultivars that he crossed. So, but that's the cosmic purple. So I had some of that. I also grew out some of Grateful Gardener's 91 Grapefruit F2, and that I had a great standout plant of that, and I'm glad that I'm able to keep that one around. I'm definitely gonna grow it again. I also grew out some Atlas stuff, which did okay. And then I did some more of my crosses for testing outdoors. And that was the Bear Candy. That was the main one. But I also did a Gorilla Grease cross to Little Sister, and then Lemon Berry Candy cross to Smoothadelic cross with Little Sister. And I grew all those outdoors to see how they performed. And the Bear Candy did excellent. So I'm going to be releasing that cultivar in the coming weeks as well. I mean, it was awesome. Phenomenal plant outdoors.
Yeah, how big did that plant end up getting?
Outdoors, they were about between 3 and 4 feet tall. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't train them or pinch them, so they were, kind of like your single leader coming up with with nice side branching. So, super frosty buds, kind of like a sweet, fruity terpene profile to it. But yeah, they yielded well. The one I've grown some indoors and was kind of able to push them a little bit more with feeding, and I've had just some monster plants come out of that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. What do you do in your off season when it comes to growing? Yeah,
so I don't have really an off season. Obviously my grow scales down during the wintertime.
Right.
I'm not growing anything outdoors, but I still have my indoor production space for seed growing. And then honestly, like once I hit this time of year, it's pretty much trying to get all the seed that I grew processed. So cleaning any, what I'd say, wet seed. So that's, cucumbers and squash and peppers and all that stuff. And then I move on to the dry seed, which is like beans and that sort of thing. So I'm trying to get that cleaned. I'm weighing it, see what I got for harvest, doing germination tests on everything. And then it's a lot of computer work, honestly. I'm updating my website, making new labels for packaging, doing all my marketing. And then once we hit December, it's like the new catalog's up and it's the order starts. So it's a lot of packing seed packs and that sort of thing. And yeah, and once I get later into winter, it's a lot of events. By January to like March is like I'm doing pretty much an event every single weekend for most of the time. Yeah.
What kind of events do you do?
So we have, for example, we have a few local home and garden shows. I do the Southeastern Connecticut Home and Garden Show at Mohegan Sun. I've been doing that for 4 years. We have the Connecticut Flower Show in Hartford, which is a huge. It's 3 days, just garden and flower type event. So a bunch of vendors from actually all over the country come to that one, and that's huge. They do these crazy indoor landscaped gardens inside of the convention center. And then they have like a contest who has the best one, and they're pretty intricate. Like they bring in they make whole areas that are all mulched and planted. They bring in trees. Nurseries will like put like cherry trees and stuff like that in their greenhouses to force them to flower, and then bring the trees there and like kind of like faux plant them in these landscapes. So you have all these crazy trees flowering and forced bulbs, and yeah, it's water features with ponds and waterfalls, and it's pretty wild to see it all inside. So that's a great event. And and then we have our local cannabis convention, which is the Expo Canna. And I've been going to that since year one. A friend of mine runs that, so it's always great to go to that and kind of see everyone in the local community. So yeah, it's events like that, and then I have other smaller ones, but home and garden shows, yeah, that sort of thing.
That sounds like fun, man. Those are some really fun events to be able to go to.
Yeah. I suggest if you're ever up this way, check out some of the flower shows. Like they're pretty wild. I know probably the closest one that's super huge to you would be like the Philadelphia Flower Show, which is just like mind blowing, the displays that they set up inside. Like, it's crazy. Whenever I go to the Connecticut Flower Show, they literally have like the whole back half of the entrance where like where you have to go in as a vendor. They literally set up like mulch and soil like pits, and then they have like an excavator back there and a big loader, and they're just like loading in all this mulch and all this soil into the middle of the convention hall and just like dumping it there.
Wow, that's so wild.
Yeah, and then they clean it all up at the end. It's like it's crazy, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
Heck yeah, I appreciate you sharing all that information with me.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and start talking about your garden. What do you currently have growing on in your garden?
Well, so all my gardens are pretty much done. I just got done harvesting like I said, all my peppers and beans and stuff. I think the last thing I harvested at my house was some brulee butternut squash, and then getting all the high tunnel cleaned out. In my indoor garden, I have a bunch of autoflowers going right now. I am on the F3 of a cross that I did of the Family Jewels, which is a photo period, and I crossed that to I crossed the Sherman's Tactics to that, and then I selected it for the auto flowering trait. So that's on the F3 right now, and so they're all auto flowering. And then I'm going to make some selections, and I'm going to make an F4, and then I'm also going to do some crosses to some other plants that I have in there, and that's a feminized seed run. So if everything works out well and tests well, then hopefully I can release that. But that the Family Jewels, I don't know if you've ever grown that before. It's from Humboldt Seed Company, but I was growing a cut of that for a few years, and I had some friends try it, and everyone just loved it. It's very, very gassy, cultivar. So
yeah, I haven't grown that one out yet. The only thing that I've grown out from Humboldt is the vanilla latte. It was an auto.
Okay,
and it was pretty good. But yeah, nothing like what you're growing. Well, I got some growing and breeding questions for you if you're cool with that.
Of course.
All right. How long have you been growing cannabis?
I have been growing cannabis since 2010. I started out in a closet with some fluorescent lights, and yeah, I didn't grow every single year from 2010. I've only been growing like consistently all the time since like I think it was 2016 is when I started growing like consistently. But yeah, I just did closet grows, like I'd do a closet grow, and then I'd have to move apartments or something, and then a year or so later I'd start it back up and whatever. But yeah, I've been growing since 2010.
Gotcha. What was your first successful harvest?
That was back in 2010, man. I had some and so in those days, we used to get what we called middies. I don't know if you guys had like the same name for it, but it was just like, sometimes it was kind of pressed stuff and it had seeds in it, but it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It still had a smell to it. It wasn't some like brown super pressed brickweed, but it definitely wasn't like, at the time we used to call it like KB, Kind Bud, Beasters, Sensi. That was like, the stuff that didn't have seeds in it. That was kind of closer to what, people are familiar with today. But we usually didn't really have names. We didn't know like cultivar names. That didn't come till later. So once in a while you'd get a name for it. But yeah, so I just had some MIDI seeds, and it was probably some stuff from like Mexico or maybe the West Coast. But yeah, I popped those in some solo cups and grew it out, and it was actually pretty good, man. I was surprised at the time. I was like, wow, this is way better than what this came from. So yeah, that was my first successful grow.
Awesome. What type of equipment do you use in your indoor garden?
So right now for my actual indoor grow, I have mostly 5x5 tents with LED lights, mostly Spider Farmer lights. They're pretty cheap. And yeah, so I run a bunch of tents indoors to do all my fem seed work. At least most of my fem seed work. I do some stuff in the greenhouse, but But yeah, so it's a pretty basic setup. I don't have any fancy, AC infinity controllers or anything like that. I run it pretty lean because I have so much going on. But yeah, just tents, LED lights. I have a nice little hose setup that I put down there in my basement. So potting bench. Yep.
Heck yeah. What type of nutrients do you use?
So I mainly am a soil grower. I use New England compost, their potting soils. I used to mix my own, but I just find it so much more convenient to have it already done. And the great thing about New England Compost is they make their own compost. They're a local company. I'm friends with the owner, so he's able to mix up a couple different blends. One is his 203 potting soil, which is more for like growing vegetables or cannabis, and then he also has a seed starting mix that I use in my greenhouse. So it's just nice to get everything kind of already finished, and it's good high quality compost. He does like static aerated piles, so he's putting some piping on like a concrete slab.
Okay.
Putting all the materials that he's going to compost over that, and then forcing air through, and it makes basically a huge kind of like bokashi type pile where you get all this crazy fungal growth on top. And then he takes that, he turns it, and he lets it actually age. So there's a little bit more of a fungal content in it. And yeah, like I said, just great stuff. And then as far as actual nutrients that I add, I use Nature Source, which is an all-purpose organic fertilizer. A lot of people in the greenhouse and nursery industry use it. I believe it's a 10-4-3 for NPK, something close to that. But it's got some micronutrients in there too. And I'll use that, pretty sparingly just to give things a little bit of a boost.
Okay.
I'll maybe only feed, with a quarter of what you would normally feed for a liquid fertilizer. And I'll just do that maybe like a half a dozen times at most. And then I'm also a fan of phosphorus solubilizing bacteria. So I'll add that. It's beneficial bacteria, makes phosphorus more available. And then a little bit of liquid silica. I started using liquid silica, and it's crazy. Like the size of the plants are so much bigger because the stems are more rigid, and it just seems like they're able to, just to put on more growth, having that extra silica to make everything a little bit stronger. So those are the main things that I use for added nutrients.
What brand of liquid silica do you use?
I think it's called it's by Sealintech. It's the P31 microbes are the phosphorus, and then the silica. It's a letter and a bunch of numbers. It's like It's like PSI something 4, 5, 6. I don't remember what it is. Something like that. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it's Sealintech is the company. They're also local too. They're out of Rhode Island. So, and
you're very lucky that you got a lot of stuff local to you.
Yeah, yes, we definitely are. I had to do some digging though. I've used all kinds of different soils. I've been in the nursery and farming industry for over 10 years now, and yeah, there wasn't really much to start with. It's only within the last, I want to say, like 5 to 6 years that we've had very good local sources for stuff. I used to order like Vermont compost back when I first started, and that was, getting going in on a bulk delivery and bringing it down from Vermont with a semi truck because you wanted to have something that was, certified organic for growing in greenhouses. So yeah, right. Things have changed.
Oh, for sure. Can you provide a brief overview of your breeding philosophy and goals?
I guess my philosophy, and I've been thinking about this lately, and it's no hype, just good seeds. I'm really trying to do things a little bit differently than most cannabis breeders. Not to throw any shade on anyone, but we have a lot of people who throw around a kind of, like I say, hype language, and I want to focus more on cultivars that are tested. Like I said, I'm a huge outdoor grower, so everything I've been growing, it needs to grow well indoors. It needs to grow well outdoors. I want to make sure that when I release a cultivar, there's pictures and multiple pictures. So I have multiple people grow it out as well as myself. And then just make sure I have all the information, what kind of terpene profile does it have? How long is the date to maturity? What's the lineage of it? Is it pest and disease resistant? All that kind of information I want to make sure is available to the grower. So that's, as far as my philosophy goes, that's it in a nutshell. And then for techniques also, because I also breed and grow vegetables, I look more at plant populations. That's also one thing in the cannabis breeding space. A lot of breeders will take and do single plant crosses, which it's a tool, and I use it. I will make single plant crosses, but I think there's people lean on that too heavily, where they're only crossing single plants and they're bottlenecking things very quickly. So if I'm going to grow something out or I'm going to do a cross, I like to have a good size population. It's not always a ton of plants, but it's anywhere from 10 to 40 plants at a time. And then sometimes I'll make just open pollination crosses, like my Sherman's Tactics right now are on the F5, and when I grow those outdoors to make seed, I do select certain male and female plants that I want to pollinate, to be, or the females to be pollinated. But I just more or less let them do their thing. So I'm not taking a single plant and letting them pollinate. It's probably like, 20 males and 20 females that are actually getting, where the seed is coming from. I hope, cannabis is an outbreeding crop. It's wind pollinated. So if it's growing naturally outside, you're not going to have like a single male that pollinates a single female. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a large population. So, and you'll see, like, vegetable breeders know this, crops like broccoli and that are brassicas that are outbreeding, corn as well. If you start making the population small, you start getting inbreeding depression, you start getting mutations, loss of vigor, all that kind of stuff. So I try to bring that philosophy and that those methods into my cannabis breeding to make sure I have a nice population of plants. Because cannabis is so genetically diverse, you sometimes, like, you will get some more variation in some of my lines, especially something like the Sherman's Tactics. But everything's going to be fairly uniform for a population, which I like. So, but yeah, it helps keep that vigor in that, in that vigorous growing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, can you describe the specific cultivars or genetics you specialize in?
So I specialize mainly in autoflowers, and I've moved more towards feminized autoflowers, mainly because I know that's what most growers want, especially if they're growing indoors. They want to have they only have room for so many plants, especially with like home grow laws. There's plant count caps and all that. So, so autoflowers, like I said, growing for indoors and outdoors, a lot of feminized stuff. The first cultivar I ever bred was the Auto Maiden. And by today's standard, I would say it's a smaller autoflower. But I liked it as far as the terpene profile and the effects that it brought. At the time, there was not a lot of people breeding for effects in autoflowers either. Like that cultivar specifically will test out at like 3 to 4% CBG. So that was pretty interesting. Very good for like inflammation, anxiety, pain management, that sort of thing. And then I actually, after that, that's where the Sherman's Tactics came in. I had a friend of mine who's also a breeder, and he sent me a bunch of breeds, seeds from a couple cultivars that he did some crosses with, and he said, "Here, take these, do whatever you want with them. I'm not going to work with them anymore." So he did the initial cross for the Sherman's Tactics, but then I did all the selection work up to the, from the F2 to the F5, and stabilized it and picked out the kind of purpling phenotypes and stabilized that. And So that cultivar is also special because once again, I bred for effects too. So that one will test like 2 to 1 THC to CBD.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it's got a decent amount of CBD in there. It's not a super high THC content. It's probably like 14%, something like that. So mid teens, and then, anywhere from 6 to 8% CBD, something like that. Uh, so, and then I use that in a lot of crosses, like the Podunk Black Ops, which was Black Chem. And then I pollinated that with the Sherman's Tactics. The Black Chem's a photoperiod plant, so I had to bring that to the F2, select the auto flowering trait, and then breed that one. And also too, that one, same thing. There's a lot of CBD in that. I've actually had some 1-to-1 phenotypes in there, which was kind of interesting. I did a lot of testing to see kind of what the population was like, and there's some 2-to-1 types and some 1-to-1, so also high CBD. And that got released as a feminized line, but currently I'm sold out of that one. But I'm now working on a project where I took that and I did a cross with I crossed the Podunk Black Ops to the Phantasmo Express, which I'm calling the Podunk Express, and that's one of the new lines I'm working on currently. And a lot of people have been pretty excited for it. I've been sharing flower with friends, and people tell me it's a standout as far as flavor and effects. So, yep. And then, like I said, I have my bear candy that's going to be releasing soon. Within the next few weeks, which is the base of that is my little sister, which is a cross of the Automaton and the Sherman's Tactics that I grew outdoors. I selected that, made a feminized line out of it. So it's the sister line to the Automaton and the Sherman's Tactics. And then that one has great flower structure, very, very dense flowers, a lot larger than the Automaton, but not as large as the Sherman's Tactics. Outdoors, I've gotten Sherman's Tactics plants that are taller than me.
Wow.
I have some pictures up on Instagram of it, but yeah, you can get some monsters out of that line. But yeah, so then I took the little sister and I made some crosses with that one. And one of the crosses was to a gummy bears, and I had F2 little sister that I crossed to the gummy bears, and that became the bear candy.
Have you had the bear candy tested for cannabinoids yet?
I have not tested that one on done like a full lab test. I've just done it like on a purple tester. So I want to, I forget off the top of my head, but I want to say it was like 18 to 22, something like that for THC.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I haven't, I want to do a full lab analysis, but I haven't gotten quite there yet.
Gotcha. Besides cannabis, what other plants do you specialize in breeding?
Yeah, so I also specialize in, as far as my seed production, a lot of common annual garden, just food crops like squashes, peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant, some flowers, sunflowers, poppies, that sort of thing, and then obviously the tobacco. But as far as edible crops, I've bred a squash variety, and that was in collaboration with a friend of mine in Pennsylvania, Esoteric Agriculture. If anyone here has grown squash on the East Coast, we have a squash vine borer, which it's a moth that lays an egg on the underside of the leaves and on the stem on squash plants. And when it hatches, the larvae comes out and it bores into the stem, and it'll kill the plant, when the larvae gets large enough, because it's kind of eating out the entire stem. So he started selecting for cultivars that would root at every node. So as the squash is growing around on the ground, it's kind of sitting out all these vines, and then these vines are rooting into the ground. So when the squash vine borer comes and lays its eggs, a section of that stem will die, but the plant will still be able to survive.
Wow.
Because the roots. Yeah. So he started doing just a bunch of, we call it a Grex, is when you take a lot of varieties and just kind of let them cross pollinate. And then I made a cross with a yellow squash, and then did some selection to kind of get it to be just yellow squashes. So it's yellow summer squash variety, and that's the yellow vining Grex. And I released that last year, and yeah, it's a fun one. It doesn't grow like your standard summer squash where it's very bushy and stays in one place. That thing will like just rip around your yard, and it takes up a pretty big area. But if you have the space, it's definitely worth growing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then this year I have a hot pepper variety that I'm going to be releasing, which is the peach jalapeno. So it was this also cross a friend of mine did, Manifest Destiny Seed Co. He took the early jalapenos that I grow for seed crop. He took one of those and he crossed it with a peach habanero, and he gave me the seeds and I grew them out, and I got like all these different kind of funky plants. Some of them were like almost like straight habaneros. Some of them were like jalapeno. Some of them were in the middle. And I really liked the kind of the flavor of the ones in the middle. They weren't super hot, but they still had that kind of like tropical fruity flavor to them. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the drawbacks with something like a habanero is it has such a great flavor, but it's so hot that most people really can't eat them. And so you have to make something out of them. And I wanted to select for a pepper that you could still eat it. It's gonna be way more spicy than a jalapeno, but you're able to make like put it into a salsa or make it into a hot sauce, and it's not going to like totally blow your mouth out. And, so they're about the size of jalapenos, but they have that peach color to them when they're fully ripe. And they have that fruitiness, but the spices tone down a little bit. And, I selected those for a few years now, and I think I'm on the F4 or F5, something like that. And it's pretty stable. So I felt like this would be a good year to put that out for other people to grow. And super prolific, like you'll get a ton of peppers on a plant. And they finish here, so they will change fully color. That's the other thing too. A lot of these hot peppers, people grow them, and with our growing season being a little bit shorter than most places, especially where most peppers are bred, which is out down south or out west, you won't get a full harvest or a full ripeness. But with these ones, I was able to get them fully ripe by the end of the season.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Do you use any unique or innovative breeding techniques in your garden?
I wouldn't say anything innovative or unique, honestly. The way I consider myself a traditional plant breeder, so I'm really using population selection and then single plant crosses. I have done some hybrid work, but I like to breed the way farmers bred, for the last thousands of years. I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm not. Obviously, I don't have the really the knowledge or the money to do anything super fancy like what people are doing with like gene mapping and that sort of thing. I think everything I do is very intuitive. And simple. I like to keep things simple.
Gotcha. How do you market yourself, and where can people find you?
So you can check out my website, phocasseeds.com. That's how most people buy my seeds, and I ship all over the country, and I've shipped to all over the world. So I've had customers in Canada and England and Spain and, all over the place. It's cool to see, I'll get an order from like Alaska, and, somebody emailed me like, I grew your seeds last year in Alaska and they did great. So I'm buying some more, and I'm just like, wow, that's super cool. So that's a nice thing about owning a seed company too, is I'm able to kind of interact with people all over the US and all over the world. Like I said, you can find me at events. I'm always doing local events, teaching classes. Also have my seeds in a few local grow shops and nurseries and grocery stores. So that's my marketing is very grassroots. It's one customer at a time, trying to talk with people, and teach them how to garden.
Heck yeah. Well, this is the last question for the hot seat. What advice would you give to an inspiring cannabis farmer who is looking to start their own garden?
I have something I want to say, but I don't know if people will like it. You probably shouldn't do it.
Oh, Lord.
No, I think everyone like who likes to grow should grow cannabis at some point. But cannabis farming, though, I think is a whole other animal. And I think the expectations of people are not really where the reality is at. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
I feel like with anything in farming, you really have to love it. If you think you're going to do it to make money or, get clout or something like that, like you're just not. That those times have passed. 10 years ago, you could have made $1 million. Your first year or whatever. But unless you're some multi-million-dollar corporation, it's harder. Like I said, I'm not saying don't do it, but I just remember, going to school for horticulture, and I'd say like 40% of the people in the hort program were all like, and this was back, like I said, back in 2010, between 2010 and 2013, they were all like, oh, I'm going to move to Colorado. I'm going to move to California. Once I get my degree, I'm gonna, because Colorado at the time was like just starting up. California had been going, but that, this is when things really started getting crazy over there in Seattle, Washington, all that. And at the time I was like, man, like, I don't want to have anything to do with like this grown cannabis other than in my closet. And like, these guys are crazy. And I think every single one who like left that I knew, they all came back within a few years and were like, yeah, I'm going to work at a nursery, or I'm going to go do landscaping or something, because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be.
Oh, for sure. All right. Well, are you ready for the hot seat, sir?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Which band or artist did you see for your first concert and venue?
That would be Blue Oyster Cult, and it was at the Webster Theater in Hartford. Yes, nice. I remember that. I was like 12 or 13 years old, and it was funny because just quickly, like, I went with my mom. So yeah. But we walked into the 21 or older area and didn't realize it. And so like they were trying to serve me beer.
Oh, no way.
And like we totally didn't realize, because I was like sitting at a table, and at that time, like they had a bar, but they had somebody that would walk around. Right. And they're like, oh, what do you want? You want to like, what do you guys want? You want like a beer or something? And mom's like, he's like 13 years old. Oh, and they're like, oh, you can't be in here. You have to go to the all ages section. So we got booted out of the.
That's wild.
But yeah.
Heck yeah. What was your first audio tape that you purchased?
Audio tape?
Yep.
Like a cassette tape?
Yeah.
That I purchased myself.
Yeah.
I kind of remember like what it would have been. It would have been like either like Limp Bizkit or the Beastie Boys or like Korn or something like that, dude. Cause like, yeah. So obviously that's before I was 16. Like when I was in middle school, dude, like new metal and like rap were the thing. So, and I've always loved the Beastie Boys and stuff. But yeah, I remember having like, I had, what is it? Was it $3 bill or something by listening?
Yeah, $3 bill, y'all.
Yeah, dude.
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, I definitely had that cassette, and I had Freak on a Leash too on cassette. So yeah, it was probably something like that.
Yeah, some great cassettes, sir. Heck yeah. Do you play any musical instruments?
I do. I can play guitar. I can play the drums. I can play a little bit of keyboard. I can play the trumpet. I can play the bass. I used to sing too. I played in heavy metal and punk bands from like my late teen years all the way to my mid 20s. So,
wow.
Yep.
That's really cool. Do you ever like tour or anything like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, one of the bands that I founded, they're a grindcore band. They're called Toad, Truth of All Death. My buddy who I founded it with, he ended up moving to Canada. So they're like one of the biggest grindcore bands in Toronto.
No way.
So if you listen to our old stuff, that's all me.
That is so cool.
It's weird. It's weird, dude. Like he's like, yeah, I'm touring again, man. Like he'll hit me up every once in a while and chat. And yeah. So yeah, it's one of the bands I founded is like super big in the underground grindcore scene.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Have you met a musical artist or band in person? This could be at a meet and greet or out in the wild.
Yeah, I've met, like I said, I was in the music industry for a while. So I've met a good amount of people. I wouldn't say I've talked personally with anyone like super famous. I don't know if anyone knows the band Piss Jeans, but that's probably the biggest group that I've like had multiple interactions with, like on a personal level. So yeah.
Nice. What's the most surprising opener you've ever seen perform live?
Surprising opener?
Mm-hmm.
I saw it'd probably be Man opening for Modest Mouse in Rhode Island. I had never heard of them before, and they are, if anyone's seen them live, they are a show. They're definitely a show because there's like 7 or 8 guys in that band. I mean, there's the main guy who writes most of the music, but they have such a weird style, and then seeing them all play together is pretty wild. So yeah, that kind of blew me away because I'd never heard of them before.
Wow. Yeah, I might have to check them out. I've never heard of them.
Yeah. They were kind of one of those indie type bands, but
gotcha.
But yeah, no, they're good. If you could, I think it's Six Demon Bag is probably that. I think that's like their most well-known album. But yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you. Which band or artist has been your favorite to see perform live in the venue?
I think one of my, I'll go with one of the shows that I saw recently. I got to sing King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with, that was all great. Grateful went to that show. That show, like they put on a show. They had a full orchestra. That was probably top 5 best shows I've ever gone to.
Heck yeah.
But like I've seen BB King in concert like 4 times. So that's one of my favorites. It's, you know, he passed away sadly, but
right.
But to see like a legendary blues musician who just all he did was tour. That's how he made his money. And you know, his show isn't crazy or anything, but it's just like super authentic. And it's just him rocking out, man. And yeah, so I've seen him, you know, a bunch of times.
Heck yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you got to see BB King. I'm super jealous that I never got to see him. So yeah. That's really cool. All right. If you can make your own music festival lineup, who would be your top 3 headliners? This could be dead or alive, and this is going to be the Phocas Music Festival. So give it your best shot, sir.
Oh, man. I'm going to say King Crimson headlining. And then opening for them could be like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and I don't know. I want to throw something weird in there.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think what else to see live. Probably like Sleep or something like that. Just throw in some doom metal.
Yes. Yes, doom metal. 100%.
So yeah, you start out with doom metal and it just gets more progressive from there. By the time you're done, it's Robert Fripp doing a 30-minute solo with like 6 delay pedals. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Heck yeah. All right. Which song instantly hypes you up?
Instantly hypes me up. I'd say like any kind of like punk stuff, pretty much anything.
So any punk song is going to be,
it's
going to be an instant hype.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What's a band or artist? Oh man, I missed it. Okay. Yeah. What's a band or artist that you feel is completely underrated?
Completely underrated. I'd say like all the 70s progressive stuff. Like I say, I think King Crimson is not necessarily underrated because they're pretty well known, but you know, a lot of that music from that era that people wouldn't necessarily really know. Like everyone knows Pink Floyd,
right.
But like nobody's like, oh yeah, I know Gentle Giant or you know, just that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like a lot of weird music from the era. If you're familiar with Can, Yeah, just like weird progressive 70s rock stuff. I think it's very underrated.
Heck yeah, I completely agree, sir. Which cultivar would you pair with an album?
Say like the Sherman's Tactics. It's with like some Miles Davis or something, man.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
sitting down, smoking a joint, listening to some jazz music.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Great answer, sir. All right. Which song would be your theme song?
I would say, so my band Nation of War had a song called Unlucky Son of a Bitch. And if anything was my theme song, that would be
it. Hell yeah. Oh, that's great. I'm going to have to listen to that song for real.
Yeah.
All right. This is a new question on the hot seat. Why do you think 11 isn't pronounced 1T1?
Wait, say that again?
What? Why do you think 11 isn't pronounced 1T1?
11?
Yeah, the number 11. Why isn't it pronounced 1T1?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Why not? Why? I mean,
2 1s?
Yeah, like 1T1. Why can't it be 11? I mean, seriously. All right. Next question. If you got bit by a spider, name 3 completely random superpowers you would get.
Like spider superpowers or just superpowers in general?
Like completely random superpowers. Super
strength would be very, very handy farming.
Right? Yes. Yeah. 100%, dude. You got so much stuff you got to carry.
And then I'm going with super speed, and then I'd go with like just crazy intelligence. I would just make myself into a superhuman, I guess. Just so I could get more stuff done.
Yes, 100%. That's a great answer, sir. Hell yeah. Which terps and or smells are your favorite?
I like gassy, rubbery stuff, which is funny because I don't breed a lot of stuff that's like that. But I like anything that's gonna like linger, hang around, like that sort of thing. And also with this Jack that I grew out this year, that terpenoline and like limonene, a little bit of pinene, like that smell always piques my interest, especially if you can get like a good sativa that has those kind of that smell and flavor profile. Yeah,
100%, dude. Yes, 100%. If you could design the best cultivar for yourself, what would be in it and why?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm always trying to do that, but it's like I have to grow everything to know. So I don't think I could narrow it down to like one thing. I don't know. That's hard, man. That's hard. Yeah.
Well, it don't have to be one thing. It could be multiple things. There's certain cannabinoids that you want in it, in your favorite one, or?
Yeah, I think it would have to be something that's broad spectrum that has a bunch of different cannabinoids in it. And then, like I said, it has either like some type of gassy or like terpenoline kind of terpenes to it. I like stuff, like I said, that it's lower THC, but has more CBD, CBG in it. So,
right.
Yeah, I would, that if I could make my perfect cultivar, like that's what I would be aiming for. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with
flower.
I agree with you on that. I do like that you have the medicinal aspect in your cultivars. So, and that's a really good thing. You're not just chasing THC. You're chasing everything.
Yep.
What the plant is actually offering. So, yeah, I love that. Do you have a favorite pothead memory?
Yes. I think of this one often.
Okay.
So I must have been like 14 or 15, and I had a friend, Chris, and our other friend AJ, and I remember us like I said, I was like 14 or 15, something like that, and like it was one of those weekends where we each bought like a quarter of weed, and like we literally spent like this night smoking it, and we started at my buddy's house because he lived downstairs from me. So like we started there and we ended up at our friend AJ's house. And I remember walking up the street because he lived up the street, and I had probably smoked like more than we'd ever smoked before at that point. And we were like halfway through all our weed. And I just remember walking and seeing somebody walking towards me, and they looked like a clown. Like, I don't know why, but like that's just what they looked like. And I remember I just started laughing so hard, and like we're trying to walk. And eventually, like, this person is like walking up to us, like, "What's wrong with you guys?" And it was like another one of our friends.
Oh Lord.
And they were like high too. And like it was just so bizarre, because it was like for like 4 or 5 minutes, because you could see them in distance, and we're like
Right.
real slow, and it's dark at night. We're like, oh, I hope nobody knows we're really stoned. And then I remember them saying like, what are you guys laughing at? And we're like, yo, is that you, man? And they're like, yeah. And like, you look like a clown. And just, yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
that's great. Have you ever had an experience with cannabis and law enforcement that you're willing to share? No worries if you don't want to share.
Yeah. My cousin and I used to grab weed in Waterbury all the time because he lived there. And I remember one time he grabbed a bag, and it was like 2012 or something. So it was really illegal at the time, and it was like maybe a half an ounce. And I was in my car reading Dostoevsky, like you do, waiting for him to come back with this bag of weed. And a cop pulls up right behind me, flashes his lights, gets out of the car, walks up to the window, knocks on the window. I'm reading this big Dostoevsky book. And it was the Brothers K, and he's just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm picking up my cousin, and we're gonna go like Christmas shopping, because that's what we were gonna do. Like, our plan was to grab this weed, smoke a joint, and then go Christmas shopping for our families." And he's like, like, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" That's like the middle of Waterbury, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm just picking up my cousin, man." And he's like, "What book is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Dostoevsky." He's like, "Dude, I don't even know what that is." And I was like, "Oh, it's I'm trying to explain to him. It's a Russian that wrote it, and it's like a commentary on the relationship of man and God and all this stuff." And the guys are like, what are you talking about?" And my cousin, literally, he walks, because the way he like walked out from like a fence,
right?
And so he didn't see the cops. He just like walks right out. He slips on ice, falls down, and the cop's just like, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my cousin. That's my cousin." And the cop helps him up. And I was just like, "Dude, we're totally screwed." Like, and then he's just like, "So careful, man. There's ice there." And so my cousin reaches for the door to open the door of the car, and he asks my cousin, like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" He's like, "Oh, we're going Christmas shopping for our families." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Just be careful in this neighborhood, man, and don't slip on any ice." And my cousin just gets in the car, and we drive off. And I was just like, "Dude, that was wild."
It was sketchy. So you didn't get caught?
Nope. They were just like, "Okay, boys, don't come around this neighborhood again."
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Get out of here. And I was like, "All right, cool."
Oh, dude, I'd be sweating the whole time.
Yeah, like I said, the cop like helped him like get off of the ground. He's got like I'm surprised he didn't smell it, or
right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And he was already like, "You guys are acting sketchy."
Right. For sure.
I think I was sitting there with like some crazy book. He was like, "This dude is not smoking weed. I don't know what their deal is." But.
Right. Oh, Lord. All right. This is a new question on the hot seat. How many pounds of potatoes have you consumed in your lifetime?
Hundreds. Definitely hundreds of potatoes.
Hundreds of pounds? Hundreds of pounds?
Yeah, for sure.
I can imagine, especially with you being a farmer.
Yeah. Yeah, I ate potatoes like once a week at least. So.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What was your first cannabis event?
My first cannabis event that I actually went to, that was like an actual official event, would be the Harvest Cup. It was one of the first Harvest Cups up in Massachusetts. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know roughly when that was?
It must have been like 2017, 2018.
Oh, wow.
That was like an actual big cannabis event. Yeah.
What was that event? Just, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. So it's still going on. It's the Harvest Cup up in Worcester, Mass.
Okay.
And it's just like a cannabis expo and judging thing. So they have a bunch of seed vendors. It's a lot of guys from the East Coast that go there. And they do like, a full judging of, flower, edibles, concentrates, all that. And it's been going on for almost 10 years now. I like I said, I forget what the first year was, but I went to it like when it first started. It was like within the first few years.
Gotcha. Which cannabis event has been your favorite to attend?
Expo Canna for sure. Yeah. Like I said, I've done every single one, and it's nice to see people, like the same people year after year. Yeah, it's one of those events where it's like I get to see everyone at once.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep.
Heck yeah. What was your most memorable purchase from a cannabis event?
Oddly enough, I don't really buy stuff when I'm at events.
Okay.
But I do love to trade. So I think
there you go. Yeah. What about trading then?
Yeah. So the coolest thing is I did, as a vendor, I've been at the Harvest Cup, and I had a guy across from me, Steve's Dank Pipes, and he makes like these wood pipes, but they have like a glass inlay in them. So it's like a combination of like a wood and glass pipe. And I traded him a couple packs of seeds, and he gave me a couple pipes, and one I gifted to a friend of mine, and then I kept the other. So
wow.
Yeah. So that's cool.
That's really cool. I didn't know they had those kind of pipes.
Yeah, it looks like a tobacco pipe kind of, but instead of having like the acrylic or plastic stem, like it's all wood. And then when you look into the bowl, it's like a glass. It looks like, upside down top hat is in the bowl with holes in it.
Okay.
It's like a glass inlay. So you could like, pack it, smoke it like a glass bowl, but it's made of all wood. And then you can actually take that glass piece out to clean it, or if you want to buy another glass piece, if that one breaks or whatever, you can just put another one back in.
That's really cool. Thank you. Who's the first grower you met in the community?
I mean, other than local guys, that would probably be Manifest Destiny Seed Co. I met him back in like 2017, 2018, something like that. Yeah, other than local people, like just breeders I talked to online and then met in person. It'd probably be him.
Nice. Which event or location would you like to attend with your fellow grower? This could be an event that you've never been to before.
I'd like to go to one of the events like out west. I have a feeling it would kind of, I don't want to say it'd be a disappointment. Like I kind of know what would happen, but actually, you know what? I would take that back. I want to go to Spanibus. I want to go to Spain. I want to check that out. Yes. Cause I actually know a guy there. And so if I ever wanted to, I probably could do it and have a place to stay. So,
ooh, heck yeah. That'd be
I
nice.
think that, yeah. And it'd be cool just cause it's Barcelona and all that. So yeah.
Well, it's not in Barcelona anymore.
Okay.
They moved it to Bilbao, I think, or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, still that would be
heck yeah.
To do that. Yeah.
Heck yeah. If you had one cultivar of cannabis to consume for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I would say probably the Sherman's Tactics, because I could just smoke on that. It's not, like I said, it's not too strong. It's got good medicinal effects. And it's a plant that I bred, so it's got a special place in my heart. So yeah, it'd be that.
Okay. What's your go-to method to consume cannabis?
Joints.
Yeah, I love joints too.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yep. I like to be able to taste it.
Right.
Yeah. I've always had like, glass bowls and stuff, but the problem with those is like they just taste like ash, and there's all the same after a while, where like a joint's always nice and fresh. Right.
For sure. What's a stoner myth you think is total bullshit?
All of them. I don't know.
For real. Excellent answer. Oh, that's great. Is there a cultivar that you're interested in trying to grow that you've never grown?
Yes, I would like to grow the original Chem Dog, because I've grown a bunch of stuff with Chem in it, Chem crosses, but I have never grown like the original Chem Dog. And I know I could. Like I know people who have, cuts and seeds and stuff, but I've never grown that one. I've always wanted to actually grow it. Yeah.
Heck yeah. What's your all-time favorite cultivar and why?
Well, instead of just saying one of my cultivars again, I remember back in the day when we started getting, finally we were getting, strains and cultivars that had names to them when you got the flower. And
Right.
my buddy got some Burmese Kush, and that was like the first time I like knew what it was, and like it tasted like Kush, it smelled like Kush. The high was phenomenal, and I know it was Kush now because I've grown and smoked so much stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was like an old school, straight up like real Kush. And so, yeah, I did that. Still, that one, if I could ever find it again, it'd be great because I remember just loving that. That was so cool at the time.
Heck yeah. Who are some of your favorite breeders?
I'd say like all the just all the autoflower breeders out there, who, even when people were kind of bad mouthing them, they still stuck with the plant. Because obviously, like, autoflowers had a bad rap, and they still do from some people, but the guys that were out there first doing a lot of the work that like we have, where the newer cultivars came from. So people like No Monomatics, and Night Owl and Mephisto and stuff like. So some of their stuff, like, I might not like it now or whatever, but we have to give them a huge credit because they took autoflowers, to where they are today. If it wasn't for those guys doing that kind of work, it'd be a completely different story. So yeah,
I completely agree with that answer.
A lot of respect for them,
for sure, absolutely. Do you have a favorite cannabis related movie and or TV show?
Early Trailer Park Boys, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, like the first like few seasons. Yeah, like I love when that show. When I first saw that show, it was like nothing else that was out at the time.
Right.
Yeah, and like I think obviously like they kind of played it out, but like yeah, the first few seasons were so funny.
That's so cool. That's a great answer. I love the Trailer Park Boys. Years ago, I discovered them. I had gotten satellite TV, which I hadn't had as an adult, and they were showing the channels from Canada, and Trailer Park Boys one of them, and I was like, "What in the world show is this?" I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, I remember being on like growing forums, and I don't know if you were on forums back in the day, but like on the end of your like you had your signature at the bottom of like after you did your posts, and people would have like, either pictures or like a quote or something that would always be like in their signature thing. And like a lot of guys had, this is like before memes were a super huge thing, but they'd have like a picture of Bubbles like close up on his face or like something stupid from the Trailer Park Boys. And I'd be like, and I'd ask him, be like, dude, what is this reference from? And they'd be like, oh, you got to watch the show. It's crazy, dude. They smoke weed and they're always doing something. And yeah, so that's how I downloaded a few episodes, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Bubbles is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know the story about his glasses. He actually bought those glasses in a gas station in Tennessee when he was driving through. Bought him as a joke. And that's what stuck with him. And it actually made his eyesight worse because he wore them all the time.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Oh yeah. All right. If you could have a smoke session with anyone dead, who would it be?
I'd like to smoke with like Neville or somebody like that, like one of the old Amsterdam breeders. Cause they definitely smoked, but I don't know. I think it'd just be super interesting because I'm sure the way they look at plants and how the whole industry would be so different than what it is now. So yeah, I'd like to smoke with like one of the old school growers or breeders back from like the 70s, 80s. Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, same question, but alive.
Alive. I honestly, you know what? I would want to smoke with like maybe like Daz or something, because I've met him in person, and like I just went up to his booth and we talked for a while, but like I didn't get to smoke or anything with him, but it was nice meeting him, and I wished I got to smoke a joint with him. So,
that's cool. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, this is the last question of the hot seat. Do you have a favorite cannabis podcast, and who is it?
Yeah, I do. It's called the Grateful Nerd Collective.
Hey.
So
Hey,
Yeah, but no, you guys do a great job, and I listened to like almost all of the episodes. But as far as other podcasts, I highly recommend the Kiss Organics podcast, which is the cannabis cultivation and science podcast. Kiss Organics. I don't know if you've ever listened to that, but
I have.
yes, very very in depth as far as science and growing and kind of what's new coming out in the industry. And they've done deep dives on all kinds of stuff, from phosphorus uptake in cannabis plants to, pest and disease studies to, indoor cultivation and facilities and how they run, and interviewing people who do that. And yeah, just all over the place. So super informative. And Kiss Organics is a good company. I've used them off and on over the years, so I highly recommend their podcast.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the hot seat. The next segment is Think of Grow Me. Each week, think of Grow Me in the community, and also encourage you to think of Grow Me as well. Talk about tough times. Let's just say, life in general is hard. Everybody has difficulties in life. You have choices that you have to make, and you're having to try to make good choices in life constantly. But and it's difficult to make the right choice, but it's nice being able to have or hearing a thank you from somebody in the community, or even just a friend or a family member. So everybody, I encourage you to listening to thank somebody as well. But since I have you here, I'm going to go ahead and thank you. First off, I'm going to thank you for giving me your time. It was really nice being able to come up and visit you. I was there for a few hours, and I walked in like a sponge, and you were just feeding me all kinds of information. I was just like blown away. By the time I left, I was just like, man, he's such a cool person. I was telling Grateful in the car, like, it was nice being able to hang out with you. You're a normal person.
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome anytime, man. Anytime you're up this way, definitely come on over. So.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And also, thank you for that. And then also thank you for your dedication for creating all types of seeds for everyone to grow. You're not just doing one thing, you're doing a bunch of stuff. I mean, you're constantly going.
Yeah.
And I do thank you for that.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. And I love the community that you guys have been building. It's gotten, I've known, like Anthony it's been like a year or two now, maybe something like that. And I got to meet Nerd, and then I got to meet you, and just you guys, like, you guys are always so, you're always so humble. You're always answering questions, reaching out to people, and even though your podcast gets silly at times, you guys are always giving great information. And I love like I said, I can't say it enough, but you guys built a great community. For sure.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. Well, also, I'm gonna go ahead and thank Big Red Weed for reaching out. Him and I've been texting, and it's been nice being able, to have somebody to chat with during hard times. So I just want to thank him for that.
I'm going to give one more shout out too, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Right. I'm going to shout out my buddy Pete, who owns Shakanon Waterbury. This guy is like a super OG in the scene, and if you've ever, for anyone who's listening to this, if you have met him, this dude is a character. But I have never in my life met somebody as like humble and will do anything for you, and who's just like, he is a pure soul. So I just want to shout out Pete.
Yeah, shout out Pete, dude. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah. All right. Well, the next segment is upcoming events. Do you have any upcoming events that you're looking forward to, whether it's cannabis or music related?
Yeah, I have. I don't have anything music related, but coming up in the like I said, in the next couple months, there's going to be a bunch of events going on. So,
right.
If anyone's in the Connecticut area, I believe it's a second weekend in February is the Connecticut Cannabis Expo. And so I highly recommend going to that. And yeah, and then if also too, if you're in Connecticut, New England, the Connecticut Flower Show. So those two events are coming up in a couple months.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Well, I've got the next event that we've got going on is a meeting of the G's. We actually started it last year. It's at our buddy Jay Saw's house in the community. We are doing it December 27th. It's basically we just going to hang out in Chicago for the weekend, hang out at his house and smoke and chat and grill out and do all that kind of stuff. So it's just a meetup. But anybody listening in to the podcast that would be interested in coming to a meeting at the G's, either reach out to me under Paranoid Grower or JSaw. So yeah, that's the only thing really that I got going on. I don't think I have any music events.
But when are you guys doing that?
It's December 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, in Chicago. Yeah, it's the I think it's the last Saturday of December. So yeah, it's gonna be freaking awesome. Well, anyways, this is the end of the show. I was gonna go ahead and give you the opportunity to give out your socials.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Phocas Seeds. I'm on Facebook, X, pretty much all the big social media accounts. You can find me there, and then you can also check out my website, phocasseeds.com. You can purchase all my vegetable seeds up there, tobacco seeds, cannabis seeds, and Phocas is spelled PHOCAS. So if anyone's listening and we've been saying focus, it's not spelled how you think it is.
Right. It is. Yeah, that's true.
I was just looking up at your logo and I was like, what's with this HAWT logo? Or why does it say HAWT? And then I was like, oh, it's having a wonderful time.
Yes. Hell yeah.
So yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, everyone listening and watching, thank you. I hope you're out there having a wonderful time. Thank you, Phocas, for joining the show.
Thanks, Paranoid. It's great talking with you.
See ya.